All right, people. So there's really not much to talk about right now, at least not in the world of sports, as far as major things. NBA is over, NFL is in camp right now. There's only so much you can really talk about. However, so this is something that has been making the rounds. Um, as far as sports media, and that is the question of should the Dallas Cowboys keep slash pay Ezekiel Elliott? Now, I'm going to start this off right off the bat by saying there's really no right answer. Um, it's more of an opinion based question. So I'm going to basically give you my best um, advice, I guess you could say, on how I would do it and what I think about the situation. So, obviously, the Dallas Cowboys right now are in a situation where they have a lot of good players who need to get paid. Okay. And the dilemma is somebody's not going to get paid. And between Dak Prescott, Amari Cooper, Zeke, there's a couple guys on the defense. But right now, the main focus point is with Dak, Amari, and Zeke. Now, Zeke does not necessarily have to get a new contract or an extension this minute. He does have, I believe, 2 years left on his deal. Um, he's still on his rookie deal, but he is kind of cutting in line, as Nick Wright said on First Things First. I do agree with that statement of Zeke is cutting in line of these other players who are wanting to get paid. He's trying to get himself. Um, he's basically trying to guarantee that he gets paid, so he's not the one falling behind who has that question of is he going to get paid? Are they going to keep him? So what Zeke's trying to do is, as a running back, when you're constantly at risk for injury, because at the running back position you don't last long, so you got to get paid as soon as possible. And Zeke right now Zeke's a unique situation. No, Ezekiel Elliott's stats last year, he had 304 attempts, 1,434 yards. That is first in the league as far as rushing. 6 TDs, which isn't great. He averaged 4.7 yards, so about 5 yards. So he is a very, very, very good player. Okay. Now, over his career, he has 4,048 yards, 28 TDs, average 4.7 yards. Um, so you know what you're getting with Zeke as far as on the field. You're getting a dynamic player, a guy who you can rely on to get things going. The more you feed Zeke, the more success you're going to have as far as moving the ball. Because the more he gets the ball, the more he does. I mean, he'll pound out a 15-yard run, next thing another 5-yard, 10-yard, 20-yard run. He does that. He's done it in college, high school, now in the NFL. Now, the question of should he get paid is not really focused on his on-field work. Zeke the reason why people are questioning should Zeke get paid is based on his off the field issues. He had an issue at Ohio State. He got in trouble for that. He has a couple other issues now in the NFL, some minor, some major. Obviously, with the most recent being with the guy, the security guard. Was it security guard? I think it was. But anyway, the guy fell down. That's an issue. Zeke didn't necessarily do anything hugely wrong, but as far as his name's in a bad situation, and that is bad. That is very bad. Um, Especially when he has a history of stuff like he did. Obviously, he got suspended with, the other issues. Zeke's kind of built himself a reputation of off the field trouble. You can't rely on him to not get in trouble, to be a good guy, to um, basically, if you have Ezekiel Elliott on your team, you need to always be ready to get that text, get that call of he did something else. That's kind of what you got right now with Ezekiel Elliott. You got to, with his recent events and what he's done, you got to expect, you can't, here's what I'll say. With Zeke, you can't expect him to not have more issues. He's proven that he has issues off the field. Don't act like that's just going to magically go away. So that's number one. And his with the Cowboys choosing, should they pay him? Should they trade him? What should the Cowboys do? So number one, you got to factor in his off the field issues. That's huge. That is absolutely huge. Now, so we talked about his on field stuff. That's obviously a plus for him. In my opinion, I think he's 1 and 2 for best running back in the league. Now, obviously, Saquon Barkley in his second year, people have very high hopes for him. We'll see. We'll see who steps up, who does what. Le'Veon Bell's back, that he's going to make noise. Zeke, in my opinion, on the field is 1 or 2 for the best running back in the NFL. Now, he's my favorite player in Ohio State history. I love Ezekiel Elliott as far as on the field, his production. I think he is a great, great player. I think he's a one-of-a-kind as far as his type, a guy who can block. That's one thing that he's very underrated in doing. Zeke can block, okay? He knows how to give Dak some time if he's not obviously doing some sort of route. Is what I'm trying to say. So he's very underrated when it comes to that. He's a great blocker. He's obviously a great running back. Now, one thing with Zeke is he likes to run towards hits. Now, as a running back, when you're constantly doing that, that could end a little bad. One of these times you're going to run into that hit. You might not get up right away. That's just the reality of the game. So, here's my thing. With Ezekiel Elliott on the question of should they pay him or not. One of two things. Now, I said this is your opinion based. There's no real right answer. What I would do is I would pay Ezekiel Elliott and I would find a way to keep him. Now, here's the deal. A lot of people are going to say, oh, well, that takes money from so-and-so, whatever. And here's the thing. I get it that Dak Prescott is the quarterback, and the quarterback should be the main focus. Now, with that being said, if it comes to Baker Mayfield and Nick Chubb on who should get paid, obviously you got to pay your quarterback. Talking about with the Browns, you have to have a franchise quarterback. Now, here's the thing with Dak Prescott. His stats have been proven that he needs Ezekiel Elliott to have success. Now, that's not saying he's a bad player. That a lot of people are going to immediately go, okay, well, you think Dak sucks. I don't think Dak sucks. I think that Dak Prescott is a good to average player as far as quarterback. Now, in the NFL, that's big. Not everybody can play in the NFL. How many guys come out of college and are busts? He's not a bust. Dak Prescott's a decent quarterback. Now, the reason why I bring this up, when Dak didn't have Zeke, he was not nearly as good or efficient. Obviously, in their first year as rookies, they tore it up. If they could have beat the Packers, they could have won in the Super Bowl, I think. I do think it was the Packers, if I'm not mistaken. But anyway, there's no easy way to say this, but Cowboys, if you get rid of Ezekiel Elliott, be prepared to get a new quarterback. Because if you keep Zeke and you keep Dak, or, I don't know, it's very complicated. But I'm saying if you keep Zeke and you can keep Dak, at least you know what they are. You know what Dak is without Zeke, and it ain't good. Now, that brings me to Amari Cooper. Now, Dak was really good with Amari Cooper as well. But here's the deal. As far as now, he's got a number one receiver now. He had Dez Bryant. It didn't work out. That's its own separate story. But I think that, to me, if I was running the Cowboys, if the plan is to keep Dak Prescott, you have to keep Ezekiel Elliott. To me, that's just the bottom line. Because I think if you trade Ezekiel Elliott or you get rid of Zeke, however, whatever, it'd most likely be a trade. Be prepared to have to get a new quarterback. Because Jerry Jones is not the guy who's going to sit there and watch the Eagles and watch the Redskins with Dwayne Haskins have these young star quarterbacks with Carson Wentz if he can stay healthy, with Haskins if he can have production like I think he's going to be. Jerry's not going to sit back and say, okay, well, go Dak, be average, get us as far as you can. Jerry's going to want that superstar quarterback. You seen what, with Tony Romo coming out of nowhere, he turned into a star. Troy Aikman. Cowboys have a history. They have a major fan base. They have great fans. They have a great franchise. I believe it was recently they were the most valuable franchise. I think that's what the report was or something like that. But anyway, they're a household name. They are called America's team. Now, people debate that. That's just what they're called. It's not going to get changed. So if you're saying that the Dallas Cowboys are America's team, shouldn't that mean that the most important position in quarterback should be a star? I would think that's what should mean. And unfortunately, you can't pay everybody. The Browns might run into this issue down the line with all these great young players. But as far as the Cowboys, one of two things. You keep Zeke and you have an average quarterback, or you trade Zeke, get a bunch of picks, maybe player average running back, and then you have an average quarterback in Dak Prescott. Sorry. If you're a Cowboys fan watching this, truth hurts. Dak Prescott without Ezekiel Elliott is average. Stats show it, numbers don't lie. That's just the plain facts. So either one, you keep Zeke, you keep an average quarterback, and you know what you got. Two, you trade Zeke, you get a bunch of picks, maybe you get an average running back, whatever you want, whatever you get, and then potentially you have to replace your quarterback because he's not doing anything for you, because he doesn't have his guy. Ezekiel Elliott and Dak Prescott are a pair. They go together. Now, Zeke can go anywhere he wants and have success as far as on the field. Dak, I don't know. I think, now, if you ask, you're saying all this about Dak. So how would Dak look as far as like a free agency, or if he's on the trade block? Would other teams be interested in him? Of course they would. How many teams are looking for an average to good quarterback? Seriously, look at how many teams have to draft young players, young quarterbacks, because they have nobody. How many teams would want a Dak Prescott who has a little bit of a proven history? We know what he could do with a good running back. If you're a team with a good running back. And, this is going to sound harsh, but I don't think Nick Foles is going to work out in Jacksonville. I just don't see it. I think that his run was a once-in-a-lifetime special deal. Similar with the Cardell Jones at Ohio State, struck gold, and it worked out. I don't think it's going to work out in Jacksonville. So, with what I'm saying with this, okay, doesn't work out, Nick Foles doesn't work. Who knows what his future is? Okay, you go out, maybe you trade for Dak Prescott. I don't know what it'd take, but you get Dak Prescott. Would he work with a Leonard Fournette? Maybe. That might work. But as far as if you give him a certain style of running back who's not as flexible as Ezekiel Elliott or not as good, I don't think it's going to work. I think that Dak was put in a situation when he was drafted to Dallas. He was put in a situation with Tony Romo, an old quarterback getting to the end of his days, Jason Witten, a star tight end who retired, now he's back. That's another thing that might work for Dak if Zeke leaves. But anyway, so he was brought in with Ezekiel Elliott, star running back from Ohio State. Had that veteran tight end, had Dez Bryant, which I thought, who can't work with Dez Bryant, but apparently Dak Prescott can't. So he was put in a good situation. Great offensive line. Seemed like a perfect fit. But now that it comes down to you have issues with Zeke off the field, he couldn't play for some games, being suspended. You seen what Dak did by himself. If I'm the Cowboys, I'm keeping Zeke. I would have to deal with the headaches. Now, that's just me. Some people would say, nope, I'm not having that. You can get a young star running back. Yeah, you can. Seems like every draft there's one good one. So, you know what? If you happen to get another Zeke, great. Good for you. But I personally would keep Zeke because I think the Cowboys go as Ezekiel Elliott goes. That's just my opinion. I don't hate Dak. I just don't think he's a great quarterback. And I think he needs Ezekiel Elliott to have success. So, who knows? Zeke's holding out right now. He hasn't reported to camp. I don't know what's going to come out of this. I'm not positive on either way. I'm just telling you what I think and what I would do. Once again, I would keep Zeke. Dak Prescott, there's a couple really good quarterbacks who aren't great, who are good to average, who you can go find, make a trade for. In fact, if I was Cowboys, what I would do, I would keep Zeke, keep Amari. If I can, contract-wise, you're going to have to figure it out. I would trade a pick and try to get a top quarterback. You got Tua, you got Herbert, you got Trevor Lawrence coming out, potentially Justin Fields. You never know. There's a lot of faith in the upcoming quarterbacks coming out. I think that, and I'm not super high on a couple of those quarterbacks, but I think that I would have more faith in if they pick the right one, if they get the right one, and somebody coming in and running that offense better than Dak. Now, we'll see. I don't know for sure. I just tell you what I think could happen, should happen, my opinions. So, yeah. More on this to come later. Did a podcast with Dylan Lowe, one of my friends from school. He's got his own channel. I will put the link to that video in the description. If you want to go check that out, predicting the AFC North. We're doing predicting the conferences. So, yeah, with that being said, he's also a Cowboys fan, by the way. So, With that being said, like, comment, subscribe, turn on your notifications. Be sure to check out some of the other videos. Is what I'm trying to say. And have a good day. Thanks for watching. Bye.